Hi, I'm Ben, and this is my episode recap of Fionna Cake. This episode is called The Star, and this is like a what-if world. Okay, just so you can know, if you haven't seen these episodes, spoiler alert. I think you probably caught on by now, but in this version, the star is like a version of Marceline. In the world Simon and Fionna Cake went to, this is like a world where the vampires took over. Like, Simon is dead in this world. He never became put on the ice crown, and Marceline was raised by the ice king, and she becomes the star. And Bubblegum and Marceline are like enemies now. Yeah. And in this version, Princess Bubblegum is like some sort of general or something. And she has this tank that is basically like the version of Peppermint Butler, but in a tank version. And Martin Mertens is a main character. Yeah, this is the first time Fionna is meeting Finn's dad. I always wanted Fionna and Cake to meet the cast of the original Finn and Jake world, but these are like variants of What If worlds. But I always wanted them to meet the original ones, but they're meeting them in What If worlds. But it is cool to see each other. And there's a human version of Huntress Wizard, which is named Huntress, where she tries to help out. But Fionna is paranoid because in the other episode she's worried she's making things worse, like she wants to help people, but she's worried she's actually making things a lot worse. But she's trying to help. But here's something funny. Baby Finn came along. Like, Baby Finn hide in the backpack from the baby universe, if you remember. And here, this one is like trying to go on this adventure. And I love Martin is bonding with Baby Finn because that's his son in the original universe, but here he doesn't know what's going on. But I hope Baby Finn is okay. But yeah, and at the end of the episode, Vampire King has the crown. But then there's like shocking scenes where Martin dies, and then the star Marceline kills him, and then Huntress dies by the Vampire King. And then they brought up that Simon told them that in his world they fall in love, but here they're enemies, and then they fight and try to fight to the death because, of course, where they're raised, that wouldn't happen. But that's the end of that story because Fionna tries to save them and teleports out of here because she doesn't want to put anyone in danger like Cake, because she feels like every time she tries to help she puts everyone in danger, but she doesn't want to see Cake get injured, so she never got the crown in that universe because they're trying to hop from other dimensions to get a new crown, but they're not having much success. But in the next, but there's a B story where Marshall and Gary Prince goes to Marshall's mom, like the version of Hudson Abadir, but as a mom. She's very different from how Hudson is portrayed, the fan art of Hudson gender swap, but yeah, no, this design looks pretty good. Like, Marshall was like, I have to take on the family business because I made a deal with his mom. But then Gary tries to save him, and then yeah, at the end they run away. But yeah, there's nothing else to mention, but it was a nice story, them trying to help each other. But in the Hudson Abadir gender swap, Marshall's mom, Mrs. Abadir or something, that was pretty funny how they did her. And then the next episode was pretty crazy. In that episode, they go to a abandoned skull version, which is kind of like the version of Ooh, but it's all skulls. And the only survivor is Bimo. Yeah, Bimo comes back and he's trying to help them. But then Fionna feels ashamed, like she abandoned, like she made things worse because she needed to protect Cake, and Cake is mad at her. But then they try to make friends with Bimo. And yeah, the next episode is called Jerry. Now, Jerry, I won't. But when they reveal who Jerry was, I'm like, whoa. But Bimo was really cute, and I like her, like Bimo being friends with Cake and trying to explain what was going on, and telling stories about what did Jake do, and Cake found that funny. But then Fionna felt sad, and there was a sad part where she cried because she felt like she kept messing up, and then she was like, and she made Cake angry, and I felt sorry for her, and I'm like, oh, Fionna. But yeah, well, Simon told, because there's this other B story where Simon keeps telling the flashback of how Betty and Simon met, and it's a really cute story, romantic story, seeing them together, like them going hiking and finding the Kite Radian, and going and connecting to that newspaper picture from that I Remember You episode. Yeah, remember that? Yeah, that was such a sweet thing, seeing Simon and Betty and them falling in love, and how sweet that was. But yeah, and after that, because everyone is dead in that universe, well, the Stranded Ooh universe, where, yeah, and they try to be like, we found Princess Bubblegum. Nope, she's gone. And Bimo pretends to be Princess Bubblegum. Is like, oh, and then Bemo's like, that's such a sad story. And then he tries to hook him up to the remote, because the remote where they're tracking down other crowns is destroyed, and then it blows up. But then Bimo blows up and they bury him, which is pretty emotional. And they're like, let's meet Jerry. Now Jerry, I was suspicious at first about Jerry. What if Jerry was the one that destroyed everything? Like how they built up and how it looks freaky. And they showed who Jerry is, and guess who it is? The Lich. Jerry is the Lich. Yep, but he's in like Billy's body, like that kind of version of the Lich, and yeah, he straight up destroys everything, but now he's just sad. But then he's like, we're stranded here. But then they found the ice, but apparently Fionna had a version of Ice King's crown. I think it was from the Winter King universe, or a version of it, and Fionna was like, what if this turns you back to that sad man from before? Like, because there's a scene where they found VHSs of Ice King, and they do the everything steaks, and from before, like, remember in that holiday special where they saw Ice King's tapes, which is hilarious. But yeah, in this one, Fiona's worried about Cake and worry about Simon, I mean, and then he finds a way to use the Lich and the crown to take Fionna back to their world, and then the Scarab. Okay, I meant to tell you this. There's also a C or B or something letter story about the Scarab. Like he has a job about fixing variants that travel to other universes, but then he keeps delaying his job because he needs to find Fionna and Cake. And then he talks to this orb guy, and then he's like, Prismo made an unauthorized universe. I need to find them. But then he runs into his boss, and then his other boss, and then he's like, he gets teleported to the dead world, and then he jumps to Simon. And this is the part that made me go, whoa, what? Apparently it unlocked a portal, and then both the Scarab Simon fall down in it, and then they were like, what's going on? Like, is he gonna run into Gulb, or Betty Gulb? I wonder what's gonna happen, because I really like to see Betty and Simon get reunited, because it was really sad when Betty became Gulb and left. So, and all that backstory of them just made me care about them even more, and poor Betty. I hope they get reunited, but I wonder what's going to happen. Well, those were great episodes. I really had a good time watching them. They were intense, emotional, sad. I loved the characters in them. I liked the dynamics, the story, and everything they went through. Oh man, it was 10 out of 10 in my opinion. But I had a great time. Well, that's my episode recap of Fionna and Cake. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and see you next time.